I have some testimony that I want to share with you guys. I'm not quite sure how to express it, but I know that God will walk me through it. There's something that he's been doing with me that has been a little frustrating for me as I've tried to understand what it is that he's doing or why it is that he hasn't answered particular questions. All of us need to live, right? Like we all need to live, we all need food, we all need shelter. And Jesus talked about this with the disciples, and he told the disciples not to be afraid, that God knows what we need, and that what we need to do is seek first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all of these things will be added to us. Well, I've understood that to a certain extent, but now that I'm at this point where I'm not able to pay things that I've always been able to pay, that I'm required to pay, that I need to pay, and he's put me in this desperate situation, and this situation in which my hope and my reliance has to be completely in him. You know, a lot of us say that our reliance is in him, and I did this as well, while still having money in my bank account, while still having great wealth. I was convinced that I was relying on him. But when you get to the point where you have nothing and you have things that you need to pay for and that you need to do, but you don't have anything, when you get to those places where there's nothing, there's no backup plan. And indeed, God has stripped you of that backup plan and has, he's led me to give up that backup plan. It wasn't even something he had to strip me of, like in judgment or something. He told me these things are not of me. This career that you're working is not of me. This empire that you've built is not of me. It needs to go. And I let it go. I did not fight him on it. He had made it clear to me. I let it go. But okay, so the issue is that I have a mortgage to pay and taxes and groceries and, a life that I need to live. And so there have been times where I have gone to him in desperation and like, what am I going to do? What do I need to do? And, asking him these questions. Even things like, Lord, I'll live wherever you want me to live. You told me to stay here, but if that was a false alarm, if I heard you incorrectly and you want me to go and live somewhere else, I'm okay with that. I just need to know what to do. And so that really is the where I've been coming from is just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I want to tell you that I've been praying wrong. That's the wrong way for me to be praying. And it seems like it's the right way, but it's not. So I've been sitting with him this morning on this topic of where I should live, where my children should live, because they're in a similar position. My daughter gave up her doctorate because it was not of God, and because God was telling her she needed to stay home and raise her child. So they're in a similar position to what I'm in. What I've been hearing from him the last few days is that we're asking the wrong question. The question that we need to discern is the same question that we have to discern every day. Am I in the right standing with you? Am I doing what I believe that you have told me to do? Are these the times that I've been saying that they are? Am I serving your kingdom? What do you want me to do today? And that's it. And he's going to take care of everything else. And I know that that's really hard. It is. I mean, I know better than anyone that is really hard. But I want to tell you that in the last couple of days, he's proven himself. As he's been teaching me this, he's most definitely proven himself. And so, when Jesus was going through the towns, the word says that there were certain places where he wasn't able to perform miracles. And it didn't have anything to do with Jesus not having the power to perform miracles. It had to do with the lack of faith. And I always remember that because there's something about faith that enables miracles to happen. And over a year ago, almost 2 years ago now, I think, I prayed that God would give me the faith of a mustard seed. And when I prayed that prayer, I knew he wasn't going to just give it to me. I knew he was going to build it in me because that's what he does. And that's what he's been doing the last couple of years. And it's been real painful. But what I'm understanding of what he's been teaching me the last few days really has to do with each thing that comes up. I just need to continue to believe that God is going to do something. that God is going to conform all things for the good of those who love him. Another thing that he's taught me is not to be afraid of man, not to be afraid of what the devil can do, and not to trust man. These were big issues for me previously. I had an issue with idolizing human beings and just trying to find the right human being to help me, and then setting them up on a pedestal and trusting everything that they say and do until they proved that they were untrustworthy. And to be quite frank, that has been a big story in my life. But this is what he told me from the very beginning. Do not trust man. Do not be afraid of man. And, I was a hyper rule follower too. Like, if I never defaulted on any of my bills. I always paid my bills right away. And it wasn't necessary. It wasn't always, a lot of it was about doing the right thing. But let's put it this way. I think that I was more afraid of the consequences of not following the rules than I probably was about doing the right thing. The right thing is definitely factored into it. It's been something that I've had to take up with God. So the other day, this is a sort of a simple example, but this is something that God has been building in me for the last few days or deepening in me. And as he's been building this in me and I've been doing my writing and he's been talking with me, the other day I had this situation where the city had contacted me for a business license. Well, I haven't really been in business for the last couple years, and I did pay my business license last year, but now I don't have the money to pay my business license, and it's like $600. Never in a million years would I have thought $600 would be a big deal. It's a big deal to me now. And on the notice, on the bill, it said that if you are still, you're still paying utilities in the name of your business, then they're going to consider that the business is still open. Well, that's ridiculous because, why would someone transfer the name of the business that they're paying their utility bills in and then not be able to write that off? Which, of course, I don't anyway because I don't have an income. But for other people, just in general, I'm not going to transfer it over. And the other issue is that in this particular city where I have the building, you have to apply in order to, pay your utilities. You have to apply for it, go through a whole application process. So I just thought that was really ridiculous. But I let them know that the business is no longer in operation and that the building is selling, even though I thought, okay, well, they've already stated their purpose in that notice. They're probably going to try to charge me anyway and charge me late fees and everything else. And I got an email a couple days ago from a woman from the city telling me that my business license was delinquent and that she had done a field visit, but the doors were locked. And, so she was touching base with me and she wanted to make sure that she got a hold of me before this went to collections. My former position would have been collections, and to freak out and everything else. But you know what? At this point, it's like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. All I can do is tell people the situation. And so I let her know, look, the business is out of business. It's not operating at that location. And the building is being sold. It's in the process of being sold. So I sent the message. Figured that, these systems and organizations and cities, they're very, very greedy. They don't really care about your situation. But I sent the message off and then I rent my heart and I started praying immediately and said to God, this is totally in your hands. And I trust whatever you're going to do. And it wasn't just the words coming out of my mouth. Those are the words that were coming from my heart. You can say words that are not coming from you, that are not really coming from your heart. You can give God, draw near to God with your lips, but your heart can be far from him. But these are genuinely the words that were coming from my heart. I had really, truly rent my heart to, you're in control, God. Whatever it is that you are doing right now, I'm going to accept. And I'm going to believe in the things that you've said. I'm going to believe in your word. Even though I'm in a very, very bad situation right now. And listen, being in a bad situation, I can go a different way. And there have been moments where I feel totally forsaken. And I wonder, have I lost my mind? Are you even there? Why did you call me this way to bring me to this position? So I can go to a different place, but it's not really going to do me any good, because ultimately no one is going to snatch me out of God's hands, except for me making if I made an intentional decision that, you know what, I don't really want this anymore. I don't want to be saved. I don't want to be in you. I'm going to go back to Egypt. I'm going to return to the stupidity that you pulled me from. Well, then I could snatch myself out of his hands. I could make an intentional decision to fall. And that's what Paul's saying when he says, if you've been enlightened, you've tasted of the heavenly gift, it's impossible for you to fall and be brought back into repentance. So what I'm trying to say is that if God has called you and he's now chosen you and you're serving in his house, oh, he's going to keep you there. He is going to keep you there. So I can make a decision to lean on my own understanding and have a bad attitude and everything else, but ultimately God's going to win. He's going to discipline me into the position that he wants me in. And it's just up to me how much pain I have to go through in order for that to happen. So I guess the testimony that I want to share is that it is really important for us to be brought into a place of total surrender and totally believing in the most hopeless of situations that God has this under control and that he does not forsake those who love him. Really, when it comes down to it, if you believe in God and you look at my situation, my daughter's situation, we both gave up our doctorates. We both gave up, or I gave up my career. She hadn't yet started her career, but we gave up all of those years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, the finances that went into funding our education, the time and energy, the promise of certain things that the world promises us. We gave it all up for God. Is God really that flippant about his children? I mean, we're not flippant about our own children, though we are evil. How is it possible that God's going to be like, yeah, you gave that up, so what? And he's not going to be faithful. The only good that comes from us is from him. So if the good that comes from us is from him, then he has to be infinitely more good and knows how to give good gifts to his children. So we can say that we believe that, but we're going to be brought into a position to actually demonstrate it. I have nothing right now, guys. I am upside down on my mortgage. I owe back taxes. I have enough money to buy groceries. God's going to do something. It frankly is humiliating for me to say that, but God's going to do something. And he has put me in this position. He continues to reveal to me. So it's not like he's inaccessible to me. He continues to reveal. He continues to do the work that he brought me in to do through me and to me. If he keeps doing that, which is the more important thing, if he keeps doing that, is he going to forsake the rest? Is he going to forsake taking care of me? I just want you to know that there's going to come a point where you are going to have to put your faith where your mouth is. I'm living this out as an example to let you know that this is something that you can do. You can fulfill this covenant. He is capable of causing you to fulfill the covenant, of bringing you to the places that you need to go. He is capable of giving you the faith of a mustard seed. He is capable of making you stand. But you're going to have to be brought to the point of demonstrating that you believe that you trust that, and that you will receive it. The issue or topic of asking the right questions is one of the heart. It's one of understanding and rending our heart to what God is doing rather than what we are doing. We have to keep our hearts set on his purpose. And our needs are not separate from that. Our needs are cared for as a result of that. So to keep praying the same prayer that he's not answering, Lord, what are you going to do? How are you going to do this? To keep doing that when he's not answering, but he's answering other things is kind of silly. Like at a certain point, you got to go, he's not motivated to answer this question. There's something else that he's doing here. And truly there is. There's something else that he's doing. What he's doing is requiring us to finally let go of the things that are of our own understanding and what we want personally in order to rend our hearts to what he's doing, in order to seek first the kingdom of heaven and trust that he's going to take care of the rest of these things. Please discern this message with God.